President Cyril Ramaphosa is expected to give an update this evening around ongoing measures to manage the spread of COVID-19. There was mixed reaction to his last address, in which he discussed possible adjustments to the nationwide lockdown at the end of May. For more discussion on this, let's bring in political analyst Sandile Swana. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. So, regulations around the banning of alcohol and tobacco products have become a major talking point, with civil society organizations and opposition parties even heading to court. But what do these regulations say about political undercurrents and key role players in that decision-making process?
Yes, I think the biggest challenge with any of these regulations, if you've been following the issue, is that there needs to be a scientific basis, and those who are thinking of going to court will be saying, is there really a rational basis, which is required in our administrative law, that when you are a member of the state and you make a decision, you must prove that you followed the law properly. So the undercurrents, obviously, I think Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma on the side of the cigarettes. The issue, I think the one of liquor is probably more or less a foregone conclusion. I think it will be lifted. The one on cigarettes, given that we're facing this particular virus we're facing, deals with the respiratory structures of the human being. I think there's going to be a big challenge there. I'm sure medical doctors will be able to advance very strong arguments for and against. And the other thing that needs to be said there is that, yes, it is your lungs, but your lungs in the present circumstances can impose a very big national burden if it's not managed properly.
What do you think it says about our society that so many South Africans have weighed in on the issue of the cigarette ban?
Yes, it's a big issue compared to other countries, whether it's Singapore and other European countries, as an example, where people take the very issue of daily health, basic health, whether it's nutrition, exercise, and other things, just that the individual citizens, take their own health very seriously. People are cycling to every other place in town and so on and so forth. They are walking, they are not driving around. In South Africa, the statistics show for themselves. We have a very high disease burden of lifestyle diseases, hypertension, sugar diabetes, obesity, all those types of things. And on top of that, we are one of the leading nations in terms of abuse of alcohol, and also I think that the president, in all likelihood, will concur with the presentations already made by the likes of Professor Karim and so on. So I expect that basically where we are now is that the economy is open, except those that are identified clearly as high risk. And what I've seen in the list that have been doing the rounds, it's largely in the tourism sector, the hotels, the restaurants, and places where people can gather in large numbers, and probably the entertainment sector as a whole and the sports sector to a large degree. I don't think you'll be seeing stadia full of soccer fans and rugby fans and all that anytime soon.
We keep comparing our trajectory to that of European countries or other first world countries, and possibly the biggest difference is the fact that South Africa cannot financially or economically support a continued lockdown in the same way that European countries have been able to. So President Ramaphosa is facing a very difficult situation where he's easing the lockdown despite predictions that we are still very much on the lower end of our upward curve towards the peak of the pandemic in South Africa. That must be an incredibly difficult burden on him.
Well, I listened today again to the presentation by Professor Karim, and his statements didn't differ much from the others made by the likes of Glenda Gray,
yes,
and others, and Professor Mahdi from Wits. Basically, the lockdown as a mechanism for dealing with this pandemic has played its role. Now, we are in the realms of health and safety, and South Africans must understand we're not going to, regardless of how much money we had in the bank as a nation, we're not going to wait for 2 years. There is no nation that is going to wait for 2 years for a vaccine to be found, wait for 2 years for some cure or antiviral medicine to be found. There's no nation that's going to do that. What is going to happen all over the world is that people are going to adhere to the health and safety measures and go on with their lives under those conditions. So that is where we are. And I mean, Professor Karim made it emphatically clear that where we are now, the lockdown itself has played its role. You can't stretch it beyond this. You just need to target hotspots. That's what you need to do. By the way, our statistics are very favorable. I looked at them against the likes of Sweden, the likes of Canada, for instance. Our statistics are not that bad, actually.
Well, thank you very much. We're going to leave it right there. That was political analyst Sandile Swana in the lead up to the President's address this evening. That address expected to come to us at 7 p.m. And of course, here on ENCA, we'll continue to bring you the build up and that address itself.